Yeah, so what? I wore this shirt before. Do you have it? Alright then. Because when I come back with some new drip, y'all better not be sitting there like, damn, we underestimated the power of J. Ross's drip.
You're watching Anime Sundays.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Anime Sundays, the show where we talk about anime on Sundays. I'm your host, Jared Ross. Why don't we get right into our episode of the week? This week's episode goes out to one of the most hated animes of all time. I really can't figure out why. Faity Tail. Season 3, episode 299. Now, for all the haters out there that say Faity Tail is too friendly, too kiddie, too soft, try to look at the positives of the anime. Some good fighting in there, some good story, good plot twist. I mean, nobody ever really dies, but it's an interesting concept and an interesting anime. And overall, it happens to be one of my favorites as well.
私のラストステージ、最高の気分だよ。親友のために戦えるなんて。人間が神にあらがう。あなたはきっと悪い神様。いい神様ならもっと人を愛せると思う。私の魔法はね、悪い神様を倒す魔法だよ。熱人服部様だっても魔法少女でいるよりも大切なことができたから。
I chose this episode of the week because this new season and also the final season has been really moving along quite well. I mean, it's been pretty good pace so far. There's been some decent battles, and to be honest with you, I can't figure out what's gonna happen next. Whenever an anime is doing all that, I try to give it a thumbs up. If you want to check out Faity Tail, it's on Crunchyroll, Hulu, Netflix. I mean, it's a pretty popular show, so I'm sure you can find a good place to watch it. Alright, y'all, moving on, let's get into our favorite segment that I am quite excited about today. Anime you should be watching. And this week on Anime You Should Be Watching, I have chosen another in-the-cut anime that most do not know about called Black Bullet. Now, rule of thumb, if you hear about an anime that starts with black or ends with black or has black in the middle, it's most likely going to be a good anime. I don't know why that is, but for some reason, all the greats like Black Bullet, Black Butler, Darker Than Black, all those animes happen to be really good for some reason. It's just black, baby. You see it. Black Bullet kind of focuses in a post-apocalyptic world due to something called the Gastria epidemic, which is a parasitic virus that has been killing a lot of people and turning them, I believe, into monsters and whatnot. What I think is really interesting about this show is that it's kind of set up in sort of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon type team-up situation where the main character is partnered with some type of, superhuman force to help him go out and complete his goals and missions. The main character, Rentaro Satami, is known as a promoter, and they are paired up with little girls called initiators, known as cursed children, which means they have grew up with parts of the Gastria virus in them, giving them superhuman abilities. They don't usually live too long because the parasitic virus either transforms them completely or just kills them entirely. The anime strays very far from the normal kiddie show, far from a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely a deep, death-told, and emotional show. So if you're interested in that kind of horrific stuff, check it out. Alright y'all, you already know what time it is. Let's get into our next segment, versus mode. Oh, nigga. Alright, now y'all go hate me for this one, but in this week's versus mode, I tried to focus on some of our favorite side characters and some of our favorite animes. In this week's versus mode, I've picked everyone's favorite human from Dragon Ball Z, Krillin.
Well, I guess it's now or never.
Versus everyone's favorite chakraless, jutsu-less ninja, Rock Lee.
What are you staring at, you stupid jerk?
Now let me stop you right there. A lot of you are already looking at me like, oh, come on, man. Krillin versus Rock Lee. Krillin's from Dragon Ball Z. You can do the Kamehameha. Yes, Krillin trained with Goku as a child and has done his part as a Z fighter. But y'all forget he pretty much is the weakest one on the roster. Plus, he's a full-time dad, police officer. He's not really doing no crazy training as he was when he was a Z fighter. Now, Rock Lee, on the other hand, trains every day, is mastering his jutsu every day, and he has the ability to open up the 8 gates. Personally, I'm picking Rock Lee, man. I mean, I don't think Krillin is going up against the 7th gate. I'm sorry. Or maybe even the 6th. But if you beg to differ and you think your boy Krillin is out here really throwing down the hands, comment below and let me know why. Alright y'all, I'm going to keep it going this week with our new segment that we started last week, Good Flicks. This week on Good Flicks, I have chosen the Last Naruto Shippuden movie, which I believe is called The Last. For all of those unfamiliar, this movie takes place post-war, but not quite up to when Naruto has become the 7th Hokage. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this movie, but all you gotta know is, for it being the last movie, Naruto did it right. Alright y'all folks, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here and start up this new episode of One Piece that they hold us on last week. Thank you again for watching this episode. Hope to see you next week.